Okay, good afternoon everyone. You'll be pleased to know you're nearly near the end of all these presentations. I'm Chris Bolam, I'm the Health and Safety Manager. I've got the envious task of doing that demonstration that you get on the planes when you know you're supposed to listen about the safety demonstration and you really don't want to. But it is important because, as we always say, all buildings are different, and it's important that you understand a little bit about the fire procedure in this building that you might come across, because we do have fire drills and the fire alarm, unfortunately, can go off by accident and you need to be able to react to that. So I'm just covering a little bit around fire drills and evacuation and fire exits and first aid accidents. I don't think most people will know that fire has a devastating effect. If it does take hold in a building, it can cause immense problems. We had a fire in Glasgow in June at the art school in the UK that caused the building to be almost totally lost, and students lost some of their exam work. So it can happen in universities. Unlikely, but it can happen. So that's why it's vital. We have 3 blocks basically in this building that we divide into. We have student services, which is Zone A, B, which is the teaching and IT zone, which is this one, and Block C, which is the business school. Probably won't make any difference to you particularly, but that's the way it's divided for fire purposes. You will see these types of devices all around the building. If you happen to discover a fire, you break the glass and you hit it, and that sets the alarm off. You'll find fire marshals, certainly during normal hours, they'll have yellow fluorescent jackets on and they'll help you out of the building. Listen to them. Your role when you hear the fire alarm is to get out of the building as quickly and as safely as possible. That doesn't mean running, and that doesn't mean also stopping and not moving out of the building, but move as quickly as you can and safely as you can out of the building. You're not allowed back into the building till we give the all clear. Now, I don't know what the weather was like when you came into here, but it's just started raining outside. It's never nice when we have a fire drill when it's raining, but we can't guarantee what the weather is going to be like. So despite that we have shelter in some of the areas that you go to, we need to move you away as far away from the building as possible. For this building, there's 2 main areas, which are under the Mancunian Way and in the park just outside in All Saints Park. That's where you need to go. The reason for that is that if we do have to have the fire brigade turning up, they typically will come with 2 fire engines because we're a university and that's what they do, and they'll need the front of the building as clear as possible to get the fire engines, and that's why they will not want anyone in that vicinity. So please move away from the building and don't dawdle by entrances. If you can, you'll see these fire action notices across the building. If you go into a building that you're not familiar with, just make sure you have a look at the nearest fire exits. Green running man sign should be familiar to most people. You can see them at the back of the building, down here in the back of the lecture theatre. They direct you to the nearest fire exit. Often when you come into a building, I don't know which entrance you use, but majority of you probably use the rotating doors as you come in the front entrance. And the temptation is to use that exit to go back out. But actually when you come out of this room, the nearest fire exits are behind you. So don't always go for the main entrance, look for where the nearest fire exit is. And that's just a map of the fire exits. Obviously that's the main entrance with the disabled access. And you can imagine when we've got this building full to capacity, which I think I said in the last talk, probably somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 people we've had in this building at full capacity. If everyone heads for those 3 areas, it causes a bit of congestion. So that's why we encourage people to use all fire exits. That's the exit at Sandra Burslem. We are connected to, behind us, the law building, which is called Sandra Burslem, and there are roller shutter doors between the 2 buildings. In the event of a fire or an activation in Sandra Burslem, those roller shutter doors will come down. You'll hear an alarm, and that basically separates the 2 buildings. Emergency fire exits, you will come down to some of the stairwells and you'll find a double door like that with a push bar. You push the bar and that opens the fire exit and it allows you to get out. Similar, we've got some with glass and it's the same thing, you just push the bar and that will allow you out if you happen to be the first there. Lifts, If you happen to be in a lift when the fire alarm goes off, the lift will come down to the ground floor and then stop. The doors will open and you just exit normally. You won't be able to use the lifts when the fire alarm is sounding. You will understand what the fire alarm sounds like in this building. It is loud, it is continuous. You'll have no doubt about what it is. So please react to that when you hear it. There are tests that go on in this building on a Monday. I think it's around about 8 o'clock in the morning, and they're shorter. The fire alarm is continuous. It will go on until everyone's out of the building, which typically will take us 4 to 5 minutes. So there'll be no excuse for you not hearing what the fire alarm sounds like. Again, I've talked about where to go. Please, and I'm re-emphasising this, do move away from the building. Typically, as we get towards winter, the weather's a little bit unkind in Manchester. It can be wet and windy, as I said, and snowy. And it's not very pleasant when we have to evacuate, but you need to move away from the building and wait there until we get you back into the building. If it is going to be any length of time, we would move you into another building anyway. We wouldn't let you stand outside. Disabled students may not apply to anyone here, but if you do happen, for instance, I don't wish that on anyone here actually, to break a leg or have a injury of some sort that inhibits you in terms of being able to get out of the building, let us know, because we need to do a personal evacuation plan, because we have disabled refuges which allow people to be safely put in there while we evacuate them safely. If you do have an accident or incident, first aid incident, we do have first aiders in the building. Call reception. We've got a first aid room. If it's out of hours, we've got security, and they will be able to deliver first aid as well. So there's first aid there if you should need it. Any questions? Okay, thank you.